During the annual Davos meeting, Moderna CEO Stephane Bancel confessed that they will be throwing away 30 million doses of COVID-19 vaccine, and the reason he gave was nobody wants them. Another CEO of a major corporation, Michael Evans of the Alibaba group, has revealed their plans to create a technology that will allow them to track and surveil individuals' movements, purchases, and consumptions in the name of climate change. Pelosi's support for abortion, or let's just call a spade, her support for the right for women to kill babies, has deservingly found herself barred by the Catholic Church from receiving Holy Communion. Okay, my friends, let's take a closer look together.
As the COVID pandemic wanes, fewer and fewer people are rolling up their sleeves for the vaccine, statewide and across the nation. And that's creating a giant question mark over what to do with the remaining excess vaccine supply.
And the concern growing when it comes to coronavirus here in the U.S., the demand for vaccines slowing down. Thousands of appointments apparently going ignored across the country, and they want to get the word out that there is available vaccine.
With COVID-19 variants still causing havoc in the streets of Shanghai, China, one of the leading COVID vaccine makers, Moderna, has decided to throw away 30 million doses of COVID-19 vaccines into the garbage. Why? Because nobody wants them. According to the CEO of Moderna, Stephane Bancel, it's sad to say I'm in the process of throwing 30 million doses into the garbage because nobody wants them. We have a big demand problem. Stephane, who recently made an appearance at the World Economic Forum, also expressed concerns about less percentage of the population getting vaccinated. And those who have had the shot are weakening their immunity by refusing to get the booster dose, he said. The Moderna CEO tried to sell the stock by contacting the governments of various countries worldwide. He was surprised to witness constant rejection from them. He said, "We right now have governments we've tried to contact through the embassies in Washington, every country, and nobody wants to take them. And so the challenge we have right now is very different to the one we had 2 years ago. The issue in many countries is that people don't want vaccines." Now, it should be noted that Stephane, in this process, also contacted China, which is going through severe lockdown measures, but it was rejected there too. One of the reasons behind the rejection can be linked with the Chinese Communist Party strategy of rejecting foreign vaccines to show they are stronger and independent than other countries, even if it means their citizens die from COVID because the CCP are unable to manufacture a stronger vaccine themselves. Furthermore, Stephane surprised everyone by declaring Moderna is set to release its superior vaccine booster this fall that will cure Omicron and its subvariants. However, the European countries are already looking for ways to cancel or temporarily suspend their contracts with leading companies like Pfizer, Bloomberg, and others after finding themselves stuck with the stockpile of vaccines that are failing to sell due to lack of demand. For example, during a recent virtual meeting with health officials from EU members like Poland, Finland, and others, the officials agreed to write a joint letter to the European Commission to renegotiate the vaccine contracts with the companies.
The annual summit of the World Economic Forum has kicked off. Politicians, business leaders, activists from around the world are gathering in Davos. The Swiss ski resort town is hosting that summit.
Metaverse, where maybe we won't really be live in the future. Maybe we'll all be all together in the metaverse.
By 2025, 85 million jobs may be displaced by technological advancements, which is a scary number.
I'm excited about that future.
As the fossil fuel industries are causing enormous pollution, according to the World Economic Forum, in their recent meeting at Davos, Switzerland, has come up with a new strategy or idea to steal our freedom and our privacy by giving the excuse of keeping our Earth pollution free. The president of Alibaba company, Michael Evans, who was one of the 2,000 experts present at the forum, proudly said, "We are planning to allow consumers to measure their own carbon footprint." What does that mean? They would know where you traveled, what you are eating, what you're consuming, so they can create an individual carbon footprint tracker. Klaus Schwab, the executive chairman of the World Economic Forum, also shouted proudly at the forum by confirming the future is built by us. If the experts are so concerned about the carbon footprint, or so-called greenhouse gases destroying our Earth, then why do all these experts fly their luxurious and pollution-causing private jets to the forum? They could have conducted this conference through video conferencing also. If the presidents and the leaders of the world can conduct video conferencing, then they could have easily done that too. Please have a look at the traffic caused by the private jets at the airport of these 2,000 experts. Now, let's not forget, a 2 hour and 45-minute journey on a private jet consumes around 2,356 liters of jet fuel and creates 5.9 tons of CO2 in that period. So just imagine how many tons of CO2 have been put into the environment by these experts flying in. Furthermore, the World Economic Forum also talked about developing the future on the basis of a controversial metaverse. They said, create endless new playgrounds and workspaces for users equipped with virtual reality headsets, augmented reality glasses, smartphone apps, or other devices. Not to forget, Chris Cox, who is the Chief Product Officer at Meta, expressed that Metaverse will consist of standards, governance, and a rating system to regulate the content arising on the platform, thus creating another totalitarian and seductive world of their own where the younger generation could be easily manipulated and exploited through their hands.
We're developing, through technology, an ability for consumers to measure their own carbon footprint. What does that mean? That's where are they traveling? How are they traveling? What are they eating? What are they consuming on the platform? So, individual carbon footprint tracker. Stay tuned, we don't have it operational yet, but this is something that we're working on.
As social media is already enraged by the comments of Alibaba Group President Michael Evans about his newly developed plan to create an individual carbon footprint tracker, let's look at some of the comments that he proudly made at the forum. So in addition to an individual carbon footprint tracker, Evan is also targeting businesses, whether large or small, to help them track their carbon footprint through the help of software. He said, "We are also creating a SaaS application for businesses so each business, large business, small business, can track their carbon footprint. So this is not something that businesses would normally develop themselves because it's too expensive." However, the haunting part came into the picture when he talked about encouraging people to travel through the most efficient route and mode of transport, and if people follow their directions, they will give bonus points which they can redeem for their own advantage. This also hints towards an indirect method to make people follow their commands in return for money as an incentive. While discussing over the topic of what new business models, policies, and incentives are needed to responsibly and inclusively advance consumption for a healthier planet and people, U.S. Special President Envoy for Climate, John Kerry, said, "There isn't any country on the planet that isn't feeling the impacts of the climate crisis. The crisis has been caused by human beings. I am absolutely convinced we will get to a low carbon, no carbon economy on this planet. I cannot tell you I am convinced that we will get there in time." Although it is acceptable when Evans said that this company is not doing all these actions for profit, but for meeting the global economic, social, and governance goals, it should be noted that no leader, as well as any constitution of any country in the world, gives anyone the right to control someone's freedom of movement to achieve these type of goals. Because if that happens, it will be the end of personal freedom and sovereignty of every individual in this world. As the corporate giants like Meta, Alibaba, and others are getting weirder and weirder, it is time that strict regulation from the government with the consent of the citizens needs to be implemented to keep these pernicious corporations in check.
Germany's foreign ministry is calling for a transparent probe into abuse claims after more evidence emerged of China's brutal crackdown on its predominantly Muslim Uyghur minority. The photos show police using physical force against prisoners in handcuffs and chains.
Well, thousands of files, including photographs from China's secretive system of mass imprisonment in Xinjiang, are among a huge cache of data hacked from police computer servers in the Chinese region.
These are the faces China never intended us to see from inside its system of mass incarceration in Xinjiang. The government has long denied it's running detention camps for Uyghurs, insisting instead they are vocational schools for willing students.
After China attempted its best efforts to hide its genocide actions against millions of the Uyghur community, around 5,000 photos and documents of the detained Uyghur people have been brought forward by a hacker. Surprisingly, the detainees that were discovered included kids, elderly women in their 70s. Some were being beaten heavily, while other women were being forced to get their photos clicked in front of the camera, even while crying. While validating this discovery, Adrian Zenz, one of the leading investigators of the Uyghur genocide, said, "The revelations are very disturbing, as they provide frank police implementation directives and a proof of the personal involvement of top Chinese officials, including China's President Xi Jinping." When the investigators went deeper into the documents, they were also astonished to find that the so-called vocational training centers that China used to hide its actions from the world were actually prisons where Uyghur people are inhumanely detained. Furthermore, many of the photo records showed that the Chinese Communist Party did not even care to mention the reason for detaining them. And in other cases, the reason for the detention was visiting other countries, practicing their Islamic faith peacefully, and some were detained only for being related to the detained individuals. When the photo evidence was shown, the Uyghur refugees who lost friends and relatives in the genocide, one of them said, "I couldn't stop my tears. All of them looked like my dad or my brother. Every pair of eyes looked like they were asking me, 'Please help me.'" Many other refugees argued that this evidence of 5,000 photos is just a fraction of the 1 to 3 million people being detained. However, despite all this hard evidence being confirmed by these investigators, the CCP's foreign ministry spokesman, Wang Wenbin, refused all the evidence and lied, stating, "It is just the same trick they used to play before. The lies and rumors they spread cannot deceive the world, nor can they hide the fact that Xinjiang enjoys peace and stability. Its economy is thriving, and its people live and work in peace and contentment." Now that's not a lie. I don't know what is.
Well, House Speaker Nancy Pelosi will no longer be able to receive communion in her hometown of San Francisco.
In the middle of a nationwide battle over abortion rights, we are seeing a big response to the San Francisco Archbishop denying communion to Nancy Pelosi over her own views.
After hyping the support for abortion in the recent leak of Roe v. Wade case to ensure Democrats could win the upcoming midterm elections, Speaker of the House Nancy Pelosi has now been barred by the Catholic Church from receiving Holy Communion. As the Catholic Church strongly stands against abortion rights, the decision was announced by San Francisco's Archbishop Salvatore Joseph Cardelloni, who serves as the Archbishop of Pelosi's home city. After numerous attempts to speak with Speaker Pelosi to help her understand the grave evil she is perpetrating, the scandal she is causing, and the danger to her own soul she is risking, I have determined that she is not to be admitted to Holy Communion. There can be no more extreme example of cultural depravity than when direct attacks on human life are enshrined in a nation's law, celebrated by society, and even paid for by the government. This is why Pope Francis, as much as any pope in living memory, has repeatedly and vividly affirmed the Church's clear and constant teaching that abortion is a grave moral evil. In 2019, President Joe Biden was also denied Holy Communion by Catholic Church in Florence, South Carolina, for his support of abortion rights. Moreover, Cordileone's decision became more affirmative when at the beginning of this month, Pelosi used her Catholic faith to justify abortion as a choice. She said, "The very idea that they would be telling women the size, timing, or whatever of their family, the personal nature of this is more appalling, and I say that as a devout Catholic." With respect to the current decision of the Catholic Church, Pelosi further argued with Cordileone's decision by describing him as a person who is against LGBTQ+ rights. Furthermore, she contradicted Cordileone's decision-making power by questioning why they haven't taken any decisions against the people who support the death penalty. She said, "I wonder about death penalty, which I am opposed to, so is the Church, but they take no action against people who may not share their view." Pelosi's comments also sparked outrage among several Catholic prelates when she recently claimed that Catholic opinion about abortion goes back only a few hundred years, and theologians have been divided over many centuries. However, while referring to Catechism of the Catholic Church, the Vatican said, "Since the first century, the Church has affirmed the moral evil of every procured abortion. This teaching has not changed and remains unchangeable. Direct abortion, that is to say, abortion willed either as an end or a means, is gravely contrary to the moral law. All politicians who promote abortion should not receive Holy Communion until they have repented, repaired scandal, and be reconciled to Christ and the Church." Not to forget, in the second inaugural address, Abraham Lincoln argued that when it comes to abortion, the left does not and cannot accurately use Scripture to justify its pro-choice position. According to Thomas Jefferson, our right to life is endowed by our Creator and not the state. I'd like to thank you all for spending time with me. Don't forget to watch this video up here and support the channel by becoming a member on Locals. Links down in the description. Take care, and I'll see you next time.